Alrighty guys, welcome back. This is chapter 6 of this training series on painting and texturing, an introduction. And what we're going to do in this chapter is what you guys have all been waiting for with this particular series. We've done all the preliminaries. We've created UVs. We've discussed how to generate UVs and on the different programs available to us. And now what we want to do is we want to step out from under the shadow of our original figure. We want to paint our own custom textures to the character. Alright. And with our UVs, we have the ability to basically go in here now and be able to do that and not have to really worry about anything. Alright. So in the poly paint panel with colorize selected and with the model completely clean and with a flat material applied to the character, nice skin shade material, and with us in RGB mode, we're ready to go. All right, now there are plenty of places on the internet where you can get references for characters, and one such place is 3D.sk, and this particular site has a number of reference photos of different models from various places, animals and weapon textures and different things like that. That you could use to paint your characters. Supposedly this site has been used in a number of different video games and different film industry projects to provide bases for different characters, base coats for different characters. So if you do a Google search for reference images or whatever, come up with a lot. Some stuff is free, some stuff is expensive, depending upon what your budget is, what you got. Possible you could even have your boyfriend or your girlfriend or just a friend or whatever pose for you or whatever. You can get T-pose shots off of them with a basic iPhone, or if you have a DSLR. You can get even higher res photos, out of a DSLR, and you can basically use those photos to paint your character. Here in the tester folder, I have a number of images. I've basically over the years created a nice little nest egg of reference images for myself. That I use on my projects on the regular to go ahead and paint. We're going to use one of these textures that I just pulled out real quick for this tutorial from my library of reference images. This model's name is Simona, and this particular skin texture that she has seems like it'll fit really nicely, really well with our character. I've pulled out the non-risque versions of the textures just for modesty's sakes and just to keep this tutorial PG-13. Obviously, depending upon the character that you're working on and depending upon what kind of project you'll be working on, you'll probably be working with nude photography, to get all the detail, and to get all the detail so that depending upon the clothes you put on your character, you have all that different detail out there. We're going to work with these for the sake of this tutorial. You work with whatever reference images you want. So basically, ZBrush has a tool called Spotlight. And what Spotlight allows you to do is allows you to do projection painting. If we were to take, say, this Kiera texture, and we were to say flip it vertically again, so it's actually let's not even use this texture. Let's just go ahead and use one of our actual real textures. Let's just get into it. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and import a texture, and we're gonna go to Testa's references folder. So I've created a folder with references. I like to do this for my projects as well. Create another folder called references. I like to just put all my reference images in here. You can go on, say, Google, for instance, real quick, and you could, type in blue eyes, hazel eyes, red eyes, whatever you want. You can just pull down the eye image, and you could, paint your eye subtool with that image. So you can quickly get a reference image like that, put it here in your references folder. We're gonna go ahead and pick up her face. Now, depending upon your resolution, you might maybe want to get finer detail in the eyes. You might want to get finer detail in the cheek, and different areas like that. So maybe you want to pick an image that's a little bit closer. It just all depends on how fast you want to be with this, or how detailed you want to be with this. We can go ahead and pick her mouth, for instance, and this is a really, really close-up image of her mouth. So we're going to get extremely high levels of detail out of that. And with her texture loaded into the main texture window here, we can go down right here and click add to spotlight. And now we go ahead and shut down the light box. The light box just magically popped up. Now we've got this texture loaded in the spotlight. So if we were to, say, close spotlight out and actually start painting right now, what would happen is this would projection paint onto our model the detail we see. So this high level of detail here in the nose area would get painted onto her cheek. So what we want to do first is, if we hit the Z key, we can actually close out of spotlight. And to get a better idea of what we're doing, we can go ahead and hit the Z key to come back in the spotlight. We're not actually closing out of spotlight completely. To close completely out of spotlight, I believe the shortcut is Shift Z. Let's try that. Yeah, Shift Z will completely close down spotlight entirely. We don't want to close spotlight. We want to turn back on spotlight. So Shift Z to turn it back on. Z is just going to hide spotlight, the spotlight wheel out of our way. It's going to hide the image out of our way. But in order to hide the image out of our way, we need to just change the spotlight radius a little. And you see this little, it's a little hard to see, but there's a little kind of sort of dot kind of thing coming up a little bit, like a sort of soft radius. If you think of like Photoshop, and you think of like kind of sort of the if you paint with a soft brush and you start to paint, it kind of has like this kind of sort of look to it. But we can lower and raise that to get an idea of. It's easier to show than to explain. Basically, what this does is it hides the spotlight image from us, except for a slight area that we define. So this is our spotlight radius. All right. And if we start painting on our model, the area that we see in this spotlight radius is what's going to get painted through. So we're basically painting her lip detail right here onto the breast area. And then the way this works is it projects, exactly where the image is. So what we can do is we can go ahead and scale down the image. We can go ahead and hit Z to get out of spotlight mode. And what we can actually do is we can come in and we want to paint the face. So we can come in really close onto the face, the particular area of the face that we want to paint. Like, say, we want to paint the image that we picked, kind of sort of is like this particular area of her face, this lower area of her face. All right, and we've already hit X, so we're painting in symmetry. So it's going to be symmetrical mode, which may or may not be what you want, depending upon what you're thinking about. And then what we can do is we can go ahead and start to move our image around. So if we click inside the wheel but outside of this little circle in the center of this spotlight wheel, we can actually move the image around. All right, so we can move the image into place here. We can use the rotate tool to kind of rotate the image to kind of match our character's face dimensions a little bit. And we don't have to be perfect per se, because we can come in, we can paint, like, say, the lip detail in, and then we can move the image around so that the nose matches our current nose. Then we can paint in the nose detail, and we can just keep moving the image around. So let's just go ahead and just go through the workflow here. I kind of sort of like where the lips are. If I can't really see the lips because either the wheel is in the way or because the image is too high, the opacity here is going to allow us to fade the image. It doesn't fade the paint effect of the image, but it fades the image out of the way so we can kind of see our underlying geometry a little better. So you see how we can kind of sort of see our underlying geometry a lot better. You can get a better idea of where we're placing our image now. If we click inside this middle circle here and move, we can actually move the spotlight wheel out of our way, so that now we can get a better idea of what we're doing with our image. It also affects the anchor point of the image as well, as you can see. So we can kind of move that in. We can use our nudge tool, which is going to be, and these icons are, you know, I mean, I guess if you use Zbrush significantly regularly, you'd probably get used to these. But I use it pretty regularly, and I still haven't gotten used to it. I usually just go through, just kind of just move my mouse over them and kind of just see what they are. I don't even try to really remember these cryptic icons at all. But anyway, this is the nudge tool. We can use the nudge tool to kind of just nudge the actual 2D image into location. So we could use this to actually nudge the image where we need it to be, instead of trying to get the image to be exactly lined up, in case we just want to paint through in one shot versus trying to paint through in 2 or 3 shots. We're never going to get that nose to be nice. I don't even want to try to nudge that up and really mess up her skin. Really, I like where this is right now as far as the lips are concerned. I just wanted to nudge the edges of the lips up just a little bit so that everything is just perfect here for just the lips and just this chin area. I'm very happy with this right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Z and get out of spotlight mode. Hit Z again, and actually I want to just increase my spotlight radius slightly. I just want more spotlight radius so I can see a lot more of what I'm painting. I'm going to use the left bracket key to bring my brush size down just a little bit. I'm also going to hit X and paint asymmetrically. I want the asymmetrical detail of her face to kind of come through. Finally, I'm in RGB mode. If I was in Z add mode, I would actually add the skin detail from her face. So let's try that real quick and see what I mean. We're going to go ahead and lower the Z intensity. Let's raise the Z intensity up and just see what kind of detail we get. And we're just going to start painting. And already we're getting all the RGB detail from her face. We're also getting also getting some of that texture detail. Now the problem is we've got this alpha on right now. Okay. And this is really creeping me the hell out too. Okay. And it also seems like we're out of memory. I'm going to probably look into the preferences and figure out how this autosave stuff in Zbrush works, because it really eats your memory up on your C drive heavily. So I'm gonna delete all those files, move back to my desktop, go ahead and empty the recycle bin. That cleared out 5 gigs of space, 620 gigs of space, God. And then we're good now. And okay, I deleted the virtual memory file, so I crashed Zbrush. So that's great. Go ahead and load it back up. And so that goes to show, yeah, you definitely want to save on the regular. Now, bear in mind also, what I did was I also saved a secondary version of the mod of Testa. So I saved an alliteration of her, as you'll see in just a moment. 02 alliteration of her with her new UVs. You know, so that was a major change. So I made sure I saved that. Okay, and she's loaded. We're gonna go ahead and draw her on the screen, and then we're gonna immediately go into edit mode. Cool. So now we can mess with her. Excellent. We're gonna come into our geometry here, or our subtools. Subtools palette is right here. And we are set to go. I'm gonna go ahead and fill her whole body once again with the skin material, just to be on the safe side. I don't like how that red matte cap came back. So just to make sure everything's okay, fill the whole object. And we'll go back to RGB mode. We'll go back into Z-add mode, and go ahead and load up a texture. All right, so we loaded up that face texture, loaded up here, bring it in the spotlight, or added the spotlight, clicking on it, doing an add a spotlight. So now it's in spotlight. Turn off the light box, and we're back to normal. All right, set up our spotlight radius. There we go. That looks good. Temporarily hide spotlight a little bit, and we are set to go. All right, that wasn't too bad. Yeah. So just make sure to save periodically. We'll come in and we'll scale down the face. Hit Z again. We'll go ahead and scale in real close on this face here. And I'll use space to actually move here instead of trying to move on the actual canvas. And okay, so we're pretty close. Go ahead and bring back spotlight here, and we're gonna go ahead and scale in her lips just a little bit more. Scale down, get them about right. Let's see, trying to get the lips into the right area, the right region, as it were. I think that looks about right. Okay, we're gonna want to take the nudge tool here. Let's move the spotlight wheel out of our way, and we're just gonna want to nudge the lip into place, so that when we project through, we get some real nice detail here. Just want to push that up, and I think this is good. I like the way this looks. All right. So once again, with Z-Add on, with our dots mode selected, and with no alpha selected, now we're not painting an alpha. We're not painting any weird color. We might want to switch to freehand, which is going to be just a really, really basic stroke. And if we go ahead and paint through now, you'll notice that we actually painted in that texture detail, the actual physical imperfection detail from the texture directly onto our model with our sculpting mode on. So this is a really great way, depending upon the textures that you have. It's an amazing way to actually add true detail to your model. As you can see, you're getting a lot of skin detail on your model. Plus you got some of that lip detail as well. I mean, you got all the detail of her face in there. Like I said before the crash, you know, you might lower the Z intensity so that, you know, you don't paint so much Z intensity into it, but you get the idea. You can really go crazy with this. But let's go ahead and erase that detail out, and then let's go ahead and move the model up here. We might need to move the spotlight picture back into place. That looks about right. Let's go ahead and hit Z to go into paint mode. Let's turn off Z-Add this time, and actually we're just going to paint in regular detail. So as you can see, we can start to project all that detail from the texture directly onto our model, like so. And it works just like a projection in a, say, body paint or Mari or anything else. It just paints right through. Now what we can do is we can move and I didn't want to nudge. I think I nudged her a little bit. Didn't want to do that. Okay, so what we can do now is we can actually go ahead and move her up. Say move her nose in the location. And in this particular case, we might want to actually do this in a symmetrical mode. So I can use my opacity to kind of sort of figure out where I need to be in terms of this particular texture. And then I can go ahead and move her into location. Maybe I want to nudge just a little bit. So let me go ahead and select nudge, and then select the bigger brush, and I can just kind of sort of nudge the nose into the location I kind of want it to be a little bit here. Maybe I need to increase the Z intensity. Maybe that affects the nudge brush itself. Sure does. That's perfect. All right, and then go into hit Z to go back to the model again, and now with symmetrical detail selected, I can go ahead and just kind of sort of paint in the nose. Just kind of sort of paints in that detail ever so slightly. Just kind of sort of just paint that detail in, and I'm just painting it in symmetrically, because I'm not going to be able to get my asymmetrical detail where that's concerned. So that's fine. And then that's that. I'm gonna hit Z, and I can go back, and I can kind of sort of see, well, is there anywhere else where, you know, I can go ahead and add some of this detail that I want to add. Maybe here. Maybe I want some of that chin detail from this particular texture. So come in and hit X, and I kind of sort of want to come in, and maybe I don't want to hit X. Maybe I just want to hit, maybe I just want to do it asymmetrically. Just add some of that skin detail right there, and then hit some of it right here, so I can get some of that asymmetrical detail going for just the chin, just for the cheeks. So, like I said, just like with any other projection tool, if you've used any projection tools, like say Mari, or, you know, if you're really good at body paint and you project in there, same thing. You know, you can move the projection around, and you can kind of sort of paint where you want to paint and get an idea. But basically, we're done with this image. So Shift Z will completely close out Spotlight, and we're pretty much set to go with that image. And already we kind of got this this nice texture going. All right, so we can go ahead and move on to, say, another image. We've capped out that image's usability. So come in now, we can open up, say, this image, and we can use it to get more detail. So we can load it up and add it to Spotlight, and close the light box, and now we've got this one. Then we can come in and we can do an Alt click and use Shift to snap to our front view, and Alt click out here to kind of sort of pan down, and then we can go ahead and scale this image in a little bit. And rotate it and do different things to it. Try to get it where we want that detail to kind of sort of be. So we know we kind of want the nose. Nose kind of follows that area. The eyes kind of aren't right, but the nose is kind of in the right spot. Maybe we can scale it in just a little bit. Okay. And then maybe we can nudge the eye to kind of sort of match where we need it to be. We can go ahead and attempt to move this wheel out the way. It's in our face right now. We don't need that necessarily there. And then we can go ahead and nudge the eye over, you know, to match our character's dimensions. You know, so we get this nice eye detail. All right. So, you know, we can kind of start to sort of kind of play with the dimensions of the actual figure that we're referencing here, and we can kind of sort of start to get where we want to be. All right. And since this texture only has this one half of the face, we're going to want to use symmetrical. Definitely for this. So we're going to hit X to go into symmetrical mode, and we're just going to start to paint through. And you really don't want it to be that big. You want to paint this detail in slow and steady. Slow and steady wins the race with this. Just going to paint this detail in slow, and just kind of sort of overlap some of the chin detail there a little bit. And there you go. All right. So now we've got that detail. Obviously, since we don't have our other eye here, we're actually kind of sort of getting some of that eye detail, you know, that we might not want. Okay, and then we turn off spotlight. So at this point, you know, we've got really nice wrinkle detail. We got the cheek detail coming in. We got some really nice wrinkle detail coming in here, and you know, we're just really starting to detail out the face really nicely. We could actuate these wrinkles as well by adding some of that detail in via sculpting as well to make them really, really, really stand out. We can also blend this detail in a little bit better as well by using the method I showed you in a couple of, either the last video or the video before. So I'm going to come in here with my Wacom pen. I'm actually going to switch this over to color spray. Switch the alpha to more of a skin-esque alpha. I'm going to select a base color from her skin, something that I kind of want to sort of overwrite the rest of the face with. And now that I've kind of got that brush kind of going, you know, and then you can adjust the color spray properties here to kind of adjust the amount of color variance, the flow level, different things like that to get kind of a different kind of sort of skin look. But now I can come through and I can just very lightly with my Wacom pen just kind of sort of fill out this detail. So I can kind of sort of start to blend, and you can kind of sort of see it starting to happen. I'm kind of sort of just blending the cheek detail in here, you know, to kind of sort of bring these two textures together. So I can actually get rid of the wrinkles this way as well. I can start to blend this detail in and kind of sort of either clean those wrinkles up, or, you know, just kind of sort of soften things. I can come in with my X key, and maybe I select more of a rosaceous like color, or maybe one of these more flawed colors, and maybe I want to come in. Maybe I want to keep this alpha, but I kind of want to sort of paint it a little bit harder in certain areas. And that doesn't seem to be working as well as I would like it to. Maybe I do need to turn my alpha off. Maybe I just need to use freehand or something like that. Or maybe I just need to use a freehand alpha and just kind of sort of paint that detail in. But you know, basically I was kind of sort of trying to paint in, yeah, so like that, you know, just trying to paint in maybe a little bit more detail, you know, a little bit more mold detail here. You know, the Wacom pen allows you to use, you know, pressure, so I can maybe I can go with a little bit more of a red, you know, so it's a little bit more veiny. It's a little bit more of a veiny kind of protrusion that she's got going on there. You know, it's looking more almost like she misplaced her lipstick somewhere. But, you know, you can start to create these interesting patterns here. You know, especially if you use the Wacom pen lightly. Just kind of come in and just lightly kind of sort of paint this in. You can kind of sort of start to really detail your model out, and you don't even really need to use your images to do so. This is also a great way to say get rid of the detail here. So with this skin texture, let's go back to color spray, and let's come in now, and I can now use, you know, my color spray to get rid of this hair detail. that's unnecessary. It doesn't need to be here. Perhaps I'll even, actually wipe out the brows too. After all, we can recreate the brows by using a different method. Maybe we'll go to Google and we'll download some, we'll do a Google search and we'll find, female brows. Look up female brows or something like that, and use that as a method to find some really nice brows. Now we can use to kind of sort of paint brows in, but I can come in here with the color spray brush, which is one of my favorite tools here in ZBrush when I'm actually painting. Detail. I come in here real fast with the color spray and with a skin-esque brush, and I can just quickly knock out any detail that I don't want. I'm just gonna come through here real fast, and I'm just going to knock out these brows. And I probably should have painted this detail out in whatchamacallit mode, in symmetrical mode, so I could have painted it out on both sides since it was symmetrical. Same thing around these eyes. You're gonna wanna come in real tight, and you're gonna wanna paint out those eyebrows. So this is also, of course, a great method, like I said, to go ahead and just paint a full skin texture without even really needing to use projections at all. But the great thing about your projections is you're going to get this very, very, very realistic detail on your model. So from far away, I mean, you get this really amazing textured detail. I'm gonna go ahead and save my tool because I feel like thanks to this quick save stuff that ZBrush has got going on, it's gonna eventually crap out on me and be like I'm out of memory again. That's not gonna be fun. Alright, so go ahead and import another texture in. Reference. Let's go ahead and import in, say, the torso area here, and go ahead and add that to Spotlight. Close the light box, and we'll minimize out Spotlight. We'll go ahead and scale in on our model. Let's see, and we basically want to paint in the torso here. So scale in just a little further, get the torso kind of in where we want it to be at, and then with Spotlight open, go ahead and place that where we need it. Go ahead and rotate maybe a little bit. Let's move the wheel to the center so that we get a nice little pivot point here. And I like it there. That's good. The only other thing we want to do is get it a little bit closer there and move it in. And we could nudge, but we can go ahead and just try to do this as is. Kind of have a good indication. Right now the hips are good where they are, so we'll go ahead and paint those first. So we'll hit Z go back into our regular mode, and we'll just turn off our alpha, put ourselves in freehand, and then we'll just kind of sort of paint that in. I'm going to make my brush a little bigger, and I'm painting with my Wacom pen at this point. When I'm painting in Spotlight, I do typically like to paint with the mouse though, because then the pressure sensitivity doesn't kill you. Because right now, painting with the Wacom pen, I'm not painting 100% weight. Now I'm painting with the mouse. I'm painting 100% weight in here. So that's going to give me basically kind of sort of what I'm looking for as far as the torso is concerned. And then for the tummy, I kind of want to move it up, and I kind of move it there. Maybe I want to scale in just a little bit. Okay, so I'm just going to paint her lower tummy now. So we'll hit Z, go back out, and we'll just kind of sort of just start to paint the tummy in ever so gently. Just kind of paint that tummy area in and kind of get that looking the way we want it to look. Hit Z to make sure, look our reference. That's kind of as far as I want to go with the tummy. All right, so we'll rotate again, scale up a little bit, move this up, scale up maybe a little bit more, rotate this over, rotate this over, like so, rotate this back a little bit, and I think that's good. I want to go ahead and just kind of sort of bridge the gap here. Start to paint in this area here. Kind of sort of bring that in a little bit. Okay. Cool. And so yeah, you kind of sort of start to get the idea a little bit. You're just gonna nudge your reference around, move it about back and forth, and kind of sort of just contour it to your model, figure out where you want things to go, and just kind of sort of paint through and kind of get that detail going. All right, so I can just pretty much finish off the upper chest now. Pretty much set to go as far as that's concerned. I'm almost pretty much good here where the brassiere is concerned as well, and the upper chest. At this point, I've pretty much almost capitalized completely on this texture. I think as far as the collarbone is concerned, I think I might actually be good there as well. But at this point, I probably want to I probably want to move up a little bit, and I probably want to try to get closer in on the on this area here. So have her chin kind of sort of match up. And see, this is kind of tough a little bit because of the way she is. See, I can see that her neck is much bigger than Testa's is right now. I kind of want to get it in like that, and I want to bring down the shoulder blades kind of a notch, and I think that might be okay. As far as this brush size, it's a little too big, so kind of want to bring that down, maybe bring it up slightly, and I kind of just want to slowly paint through here. and try to fill in the neck area. You know, I don't want to mess up any of the texture I already have, but I just kind of sort of just want to just sort of paint through just a little bit. And then I can just scale completely out, and I can kind of fill in the rest of this with just some random texture from say her say this area here, so or maybe some skin here or something like that. I can see how it looks. Just kind of sort of play around with it, but you know, I'm just basically trying to kind of sort of fill in the gap here a little bit. Hit X, actually. I want to kind of paint symmetrically, so kind of sort of get that remaining detail, so to speak. And then once again, yeah, you definitely wouldn't want to paint with clothes on. You would definitely want to paint with a more nude texture, you know, so you can really work with that skin detail. But you know, at this point I would come in, and if I hit Alt left click and then let go of Alt, and I can go ahead and scale in. At this point I would come in with the Wacom pen and pick this deeper color. So just click, hold on your main color there, and then as you drag out to your canvas, it's going to have this little pick icon. You can go ahead and pick that color, and then you know what to do. You can go ahead and switch over to your color spray. You can go ahead and load up an alpha. It's going to make it easy for you to paint. You can go hit Shift Z to get out of spotlight mode, and you can go ahead and just kind of start to play with this color spray here. You know, add some of this tan color to this area of the skin here. Paint with a little bit of a harder paint with a little bit more roughness on your actual Wacom pen, you know, to kind of sort of, you know, get that color to kind of sort of stick a little bit more deeper. Maybe every now and again, you know, just pick a different color, you know, to vary it up a little bit, you know, but you're pretty much trying to kind of get all this to blend really nicely together. You know, and I'm liking the way that looks. If I go ahead and zoom out here, yeah, it looks a lot better than it did before. Yeah, almost looks like, you know, it was perfect to begin with. All right. So as you can start to kind of sort of see here, with your reference images, you can quickly generate a really nice texture on your model, and you know, using your color sprays, using, you know, different alphas, you can get some really interesting blemishes on your character and some really interesting looks on your character that you just otherwise would never have gotten out of Daz. All right. So that's pretty awesome. All right. And of course, you know, you can bear in mind also that you can use these textures with Z-Add mode, and you know, you can actually sculpt in that high level detail, that high res detail directly into the mesh, and that way when you export out a normal map, you'll get that high level detail into your normal map as well. All right. So with your tools saved and with your map painted, you can go ahead and you can use whatever map you want. Maybe you wanna make her an alien, so get some scale maps, painting some scale detail, through soft image, and then painting maybe a lizard skin type detail, or maybe use your color spray and just you can just come in and just use straight colors. You come in and after you paint in your scales or whatever, you can come in here and use a purple with your color spray, and you could really start to just kind of go nuts. Bring up the brush size, and you can kind of just sort of start to paint like a real quick color all over your model, like so. The purple skinned lizard alien. Control Z that though. So that's that. In the next and final lesson, I'm going to show you how to take this detail and send it back to Zbrush, or send it back to Cinema 4D. We're going to use our multi-tile workflow, and we're going to go ahead and send all the detail back, and then we'll see how to actually put these materials that come out of Zbrush back together from scratch in Cinema 4D. It's going to be pretty interesting, but it's going to round out your skills quite nicely. So, all right, see you guys there.